What's up, guys? It's Tien bringing you a new Atlas strategy video for 3.6 Synthesis League, and wanted to give you guys my thoughts before the league starts on a couple of things. What I think the early Elder Orb candidates are for people wanting to do high tier maps, and then I'm going to explain a low tier Atlas strategy for people that just want to Alch and go low tier maps, maybe stacking player quant and stuff like that. After taking a look at the Atlas, the maps that I think are the best for the Elder Orb currently, we don't know about some divination cards and things like that, but Underground Sea still has a great Atlas location. It's near white tier maps, can be hit by a lot of white sextants, and has good divination cards. Burial Chambers being tier 6, you can only be hit by one white sextant, but 3 yellows that are pretty close to Burial Chambers. And for those people doing Elder Shaper Ping Pong, I think Burial Chambers is a nice one. And then City Square, a map that I haven't mentioned in previous videos, but this is actually a really good map, especially if you use Val Orbs on your map. So there's 3 bosses on the map, and you get an added chance to get those sacrifice fragments and stuff. Easy to sustain, and also, again, a great Atlas location, tons of good white sextants that you can hit it with. You guys want to know what I'm talking about in terms of like Atlas location, layout of the map, and divination cards, I actually have a previous video where I talk about how I choose what maps I shape and what maps I want to use my Elder Orb on. So the next strategy I want to talk about is early low tier map farming. So this is like very early in the league. Maybe you just want to Alch and go, you don't want to use sextant, stuff like that. And so in order for you to do these Atlas strategies, basically you need a map like Armory that has one adjacent higher tier map. Underground Sea, you can't actually Alch and go this without having your Elder Orb yet, because when you do Underground Sea, it can drop both Graveyard and Marshes, which are adjacent T5s. So in order for you to do a low tier map, Alch and go, basically what you need to do is uncomplete all maps that are that tier and that tier plus 1. So in the case of Underground Sea, I would want to uncomplete all T4s and all T5s. That way, anytime a T4 or a T5 map drops, it downgrades into Underground Sea, and you can sustain a map that way. So yeah, Underground Sea wouldn't work because there's 2 adjacent T5s. Can't do it without a Shaper Orb and an Elder Orb. But I have a list of maps that are capable of doing this, and I'll just go ahead and read out all of those maps because we don't know, again, where divination cards will drop. But for tier 2, there's Haunted Mansion and Strand. Haunted Mansion only has one adjacent T3 to it. Strand, again, only has one adjacent T3 to it. So all you would need to do, uncomplete all of your 2s and 3s, have Strand or Haunted Mansion be your only T2, and then shape up the adjacent T3. So all you need is a T3 Shaper Orb to make it a T8 map, and then that way, anytime you're running Strand, you would only get Strand maps back. T2s are actually kind of special because once you get 100 Atlas completion bonus or more, basically the only map that will ever drop in T2s are the T2s. For tier 3, I like Jungle Valley, Desert, and Arid Lake. Those are your candidates. Jungle Valley I like a lot because it has the Wind Divination card. In tier 4, there's Armory, Lookout, Arcade, which has the Saint's Treasure and Beach map. Tier 5 has Ancient City, Graveyard, Sulfur Vents, and Courtyard. Graveyard and Courtyard both have the 3 Voices divination card. They have 3 bosses in there, again, with that Val Orb value if you want to do that. In tier 6, there's actually no maps with no adjacent, or only one adjacent T7. And there's this kind of weird scenario where T6 has an adjacent T6. Now you can actually sustain Burial Chambers T6 by upgrading or shaping Vault and shaping Mineral Pools, and then uncompleting all of your 6s and 7s. So Burial Chambers, Vault, Residence, and Promenade all have this case where you can shape up an adjacent T6 and shape up an adjacent T7 and just uncomplete all your 6s and 7s, and you can spam Burial Chambers. I think that's going to be a very popular strategy. Tier 6 Burial Chambers, just Alch and going. Because it's a lower tier map, it's very easy to sustain. You don't need a whole lot of Atlas completion bonus. You could probably get away with something like 120 plus and just Alch and go. And as long as your Atlas is set up the way that I described with shaped Vault and shaped Mineral Pools, you can just sustain Burial Chambers Alch and going. Let's move on to tier 7. Academy, Pier, Shore, Fields, Bone Crypt, Mineral Pools, Bazaar, and Mud Guys are all capable of doing this thing where you can just Alch and go and sustain by shaping up the adjacent T8 and having no 7s or 8s. For tier 8, there's Lighthouse, Orchard, and Toxic Sewer. and I really love Toxic Sewer, so that might be a Alch and Go strategy that I try and do. For Tier 9, Val Pyramid, Coral Ruins, Castle Ruins, and Underground River are all ones that have only one adjacent T10, so you can Alch and Go those. So that's it for kind of your low tier Alch and Go strategy. The high tier Atlas strategy that I'm probably going to try is doing one of these maps, Underground Sea, Burial Chambers, or City Square in the very beginning, unless we get a different divination card, and then have Shaped Moon Temple as the T10 that I really like the most. I actually don't love Moon Temple, but there's no real other T10s that are competing with it. Some people in my chat are saying Mesa or Scriptorium might be nice, but I think objectively Moon Temple's probably the best T10 out there. One way you can kind of build up your map pool in the beginning, and I mentioned this in previous videos, is that if you have Moon Temple as your only T10 map, you know, as you're maybe in the beginning doing your Shaper quest or something like that, and Moon Temple is the only map that drops, what you can then do is after you want to switch your strategy into kind of building up a pool of Shaped Moon Temples and you know, your Elder T16 Burial Chambers or Underground Seas, is you can take your T10 Moon Temples and then use the Xana map device to upgrade it 5 tiers. And that gives you like a free shaped T15 map. Now your build has to be able to do, you know, Elemental Reflect, Cannot Leech, all of those map mods. So it's just something to keep in mind if you want to try and do a strategy like that. Anyways, that's it for this video. Definitely check out kind of my next Atlas strategy video, which will be once the league is kind of going and flowing, and I'll show you guys how I have my Atlas set up. I do plan on doing an Elder Square to maintain Shaper Elder Ping Pong. And yeah, that's kind of the plan for now. I'm leaning towards Burial Chamber and maybe an Elder Square in the lower left-hand corner of the Atlas, but you know, that could change. Definitely stay tuned for that next video. Hopefully you guys learned something, and good luck in the Synthesis League, and I will see you guys next time.